Hello, I'm Thomas Walk from Decathlon Taiwan. I've been working in Decathlon Taiwan for about 2 years, but I've been in Taiwan for a lot longer than that. I've been here for about 23 years. At Decathlon Taiwan, I'm in charge of sustainable development, especially in the production of our products that we sell all over the world. In Taiwan, there's around 50 to 60 factories that work for Decathlon that produce product which we sell everywhere. We sell it in Europe, we sell it in China, we sell it locally here in Taiwan. We export to the world. Decathlon is a company that is basically does everything from the beginning of a product's life to the end of a product's life. What I mean by that is we design products, we build our products, we find factories that we work with as partners to make our products. Then we ourselves ship our products. We use our own warehouses to bring those products to our own stores, which we have all over the world. The products that we use and we sell are our own brands. So basically from the very beginning to the very end of a product, everything is incorporated in our business plan. We're present in over 50 countries worldwide. We have 2,000 stores, over 2,000 stores worldwide. And don't forget that Decathlon started in Europe, but it has become a worldwide brand. As the Sustainable Development Leader for production in Taiwan, I am in charge of implementing three main strategies, or three main pillars we like to call them. And these pillars cover all of our sustainable strategies for the next 6 years in Taiwan. These strategies are worldwide strategies, but for Decathlon Taiwan, I am implementing them locally. So the three pillars I mentioned are, first pillar is developing people. Everything related to people. People are very important to Decathlon because without people, we have no market. Without people, we have no products, no reason to bring our products to market. Without people, we cannot build our products. Without people, we cannot sell our products. And the second pillar that we cover is nature. Nature, again, is of utmost importance to Decathlon because without preserving nature, then we have no playing field. There's nowhere for people to use our products if there's no nature left for them to use them in. What I mean by that is, for example, in Decathlon we have many products. One example would be kayaks, boats. Imagine a world where all of our rivers were polluted. So we spend a lot of time to make sure that we do our best so that we're not polluting our rivers because we need to preserve our playing field. Another very important pillar in the sustainable strategy is creating sustainable value. What I mean by creating sustainable value is that we strive to spread our sustainable values beyond just ourselves. We don't want to just do this job ourselves and nobody else does it because we realize we can't do it ourselves. We need everybody that we work with to be on the same to be developing the same strategy, a similar strategy to develop people, to develop the nature, and to develop these values. So what I'll do now is I'll go a little bit more in depth to some of these strategies. For example, with developing people. So for developing people, we work with a grid in our factory systems, like the factories that work for Decathlon. What this grid is called, we call it the HRP grid. It's a human rights and production grid. And it's it has 12 chapters that cover everything from forced labor to child labor to accountability to fire safety, chemical safety, chemical management, freedom of association. Those are just some of the examples. But inside this grid, what we do is we have a playing field where every factory that works with us as a direct factory, mostly rank 1 factories. What I mean by rank 1 are the factories where we have a direct business relationship. We go to those factories and we take this grid with us and we check the factory once every, if it's a country like in Taiwan, we do it once every 2 years. We go to the factory and we check everything that's on the grid according to legal requirements and then also according to our own Decathlon requirements. One example, we check for use of carcinogenic chemicals. If there are factories using carcinogenic chemicals, and what I mean carcinogenic is cancer-causing chemicals, we check to make sure that they are using them properly, that they are following the standard operating procedures for using these chemicals. For example, using the correct masks or the correct goggles or the correct gloves when they're using them on the production line. And not just in an ideal situation, we go onto the production line to see how the workers themselves are using them on a day-to-day basis, because it's important that we make sure that people do not inadvertently poison themselves with these chemicals. That's just one example. Another example would be fire safety. Inside many factories, there's a high fire risk. So we go to the factories to make sure that to the best of their ability, they are minimizing the fire risk. For example, they have working fire alarms. The fire alarm sound is different from the sound of all the other machines' alarms. They have a backup battery for their alarm system. That everybody in the factory can leave the factory within a certain amount of time, and there's a gathering place, a standard operating procedure for fire. But then that's just the main criteria. In the chapters, we separate these questions into unacceptable things. For example, issues that we might find at a factory where we cannot accept it, and if we do, then we will either give the factory just the day of the audit to or the assessment to solve this problem. And if they cannot solve this problem within a day, then we will stop all business with this factory. And by stop business, I mean we will stop payments, we will stop shipments of our products until they fix this problem. An example of a human rights related unacceptable problem would be, for example, confiscating the passports of migrant workers, which is what I mean by migrant workers are people who come from another country. Like, for example, if you have some workers from Vietnam working at a factory in Taiwan, those are migrant workers. Those workers might come here and they have their passports with them to come here, and there might, it doesn't often happen anymore. It was something that happened more often in the past in Taiwan, but they might have some factories that would take their passports and hold the passports in an office. We consider that instance of forced labor, and so we will ask them to return the passports. If they do not, then we will stop business with the factory. But then that's unacceptable findings. Another finding, a level up, would be what we call D level. It's something that we don't like, we want to fix, but we realize that it might take time for a factory to fix it. So we give them about a year to solve this problem. One example of this might be, say, for example, smoke-proof doors in a stairwell in a factory. If a factory does not have smoke-proof doors to protect a stairwell from smoke during a fire emergency, then we might give a factory about a year to place those doors. And that's kind of the general scope of an assessment. Every finding we do on an assessment like this, we have a follow-up corrective action plan and a schedule of when it needs to be finished for us to move on to what we call C level, which is it's our minimum standard, which focuses more on management techniques of a factory. So this is the human rights assessment. The other assessment we have that we do for sustainable development it's called Greenway. It's an environmental assessment. And the environmental assessment focuses on factories that discharge over 50,000 cubic liters of water per day. These are large factories, heavy chemical users, and large emitters of maybe air, we could say air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution. Those are the three main chapters that we focus on this. And inside the Greenway assessment, we check against legal requirements in a country to make sure that the factories are meeting minimum legal requirements, but then we also as well have some of our own requirements that we check against as well. And these could be, for example, that certain chemicals are not present in discharge water, that soil, that polluted soil is basically dealt with properly. and that air pollution is not above acceptable limits. This is our day-to-day operation. We follow the same schedule every 2 years. And on a day-to-day operation where we have people that work for Decathlon called quality production leaders, and they go day-to-day to these factories to check on human rights, to check on environment at the factory, and then they are the ones who meet with me or meet with a third-party company to enact these assessments. Okay, so besides the assessments that we perform in Decathlon, we also have some goals, some specific strategy goals. One of those goals, which you might have heard of, is called SBT, or Science-Based Target. And this is related to CO2, carbon dioxide emissions, and our desire to reduce carbon dioxide emissions worldwide to fight climate change. And the Decathlon ourselves, we have set our own SBT, which is a goal to reduce emissions, but we are also encouraging all of our main suppliers, our partner factories and our key account suppliers, to set their own SBT, their own science-based target goals to reduce CO2 emissions. And our goal is that 90% of our partner suppliers will have their own science-based targets set by 2026. And so we are working hand in hand with them to encourage them and to help them get to that target. One of the key elements after they set their science-based targets to reduce CO2 emissions, of course, will become renewable energy. So we are also encouraging our partners to use renewable energy. We, Decathlon, have already signed the commitment called RE100, which is that we commit to using 100% renewable energy by 2026. And we are encouraging all of our partner factories to do the same. We set another goal that 100% of our partner factories will use renewable energy by the same time, by 2026. So along with using renewable energy in our factories, or getting our factories to use renewable energy, we're also encouraging our factories who are still using coal-fired boilers or any coal in their production to produce energy to remove coal from their production lines and replace it with something that's cleaner, that has a lower CO2 impact on the world. So part of that commitment is by 2025, we commit to having zero of our partner factories, zero of our key account suppliers using coal. This is a firm commitment. We are working with factories to remove coal, and we hope to get there in the next 5 years. Another one of our commitments is to reduce our reliance on air shipment. Air shipment is a big emitter of carbon dioxides in the high atmosphere, and it's much less efficient in terms of carbon dioxide than sea shipment. However, of course, sea shipment is slower, air shipment is faster, and so quite often we reach a situation where we're in a hurry to get products to our markets. And when we want to get things to our markets fast, there's a temptation to use air shipment. However, we've realized that one, this is expensive, and two, this is a very big carbon dioxide emitter. And so we commit to under 1% of our products to use air shipment by 2025. Now I'll speak for a moment about our third pillar. In our third pillar, we focus on eco-design and circular economy. And one of the hallmarks of eco-design is that we want to design our products from the bottom up to use more ecological materials and also to be recyclable in the end. So we're focusing not only on the beginning of the product, but the end of the product. We want to make sure that these products, we want to encourage that these products don't just go from the store to people's houses and then maybe when they get rid of them to the trash and then a landfill. What we would rather have is that products can be recycled, they can be reused. Maybe they're more sturdy products, more durable products, so customers or our users can continue to use these products over the long run. We are aiming to have all of our products eco-designed in such a way by the year 2026, which is a big task. We have to replace thousands and thousands of products to do this, but we're up to the challenge of this, and our engineers in France and worldwide are working furiously to reach this goal. Well, that was just a very basic introduction to some of our strategies which are ongoing and some of our commitments for the year 2026. We have a lot more strategies, a lot more commitments along these 3 pillars, and these are just a few of them. Thank you very much.